There's a truth about your life that nobody will tell you. Not your parents, not your teachers, not your friends, not even the wisest person you know. And it's not because they're keeping secrets. It's because this truth can only be realized by you for yourself. No one can give it to you. But once you see it, and I mean really see it, you'll wonder how you ever missed something so obvious. This isn't about believing something new. This is about waking up to what's been true all along. And fair warning, this truth will either liberate you completely or you'll reject it entirely. There's no middle ground. Let's find out which side you're on. You are not who you think you are. Let's start with the most fundamental question you've probably never seriously asked. What are you? Not who are you, what profession, what personality, what identity, but what are you at the most basic level? You've been walking around your entire life assuming you're a person, a separate individual, born on a certain date, living inside a body, having thoughts and feelings, moving through time from birth to death. You think you're a noun, a thing, an entity, a separate unit of existence. But what if that's completely backwards? Consider this. Right now, you're aware. You're aware of reading these words. You're aware of your surroundings. Maybe you're aware of some tension in your shoulders or the sound of traffic outside. But here's the strange part. You've always been aware. Every single experience you've ever had happened within awareness. Every thought, every sensation, every memory, every dream. Now ask yourself, have you ever experienced anything outside of awareness? Have you ever been unconscious from your own perspective? Even when you're asleep and dreaming, there's awareness of the dream. When you're in deep sleep with no dreams, there's nothing. But who experiences the nothing? You wake up and say, I slept well or I didn't dream. Something knows even the absence of experience. So what is this awareness? Where is it located? When did it begin? Try to find the boundaries of your awareness. Try to find where it starts and where it ends. You can't, because awareness has no edges, no limits, no location. It's not in your head. Your head appears in awareness. Here's what nobody tells you. You are not the content of consciousness. You are consciousness itself. You're not the thoughts. You're the space in which thoughts appear. You're not the feelings. You're the awareness that feels them. You're not even the body. You're the consciousness that animates it. Think of it like this. A wave in the ocean thinks it's separate from the water. It has a beginning when it rises, a middle when it peaks, and an end when it crashes. From the wave's perspective, it's born, it lives, it dies. But from the ocean's perspective, nothing happened. The water just did what water does. The wave was never separate from the ocean. It was the ocean temporarily taking the form of a wave. You are that ocean. The person you think you are, with your name, your history, your personality, that's the wave. It's real, but it's not separate. It's a temporary pattern in something infinite. This isn't mysticism. This is direct observation. Right now, notice that you're aware. That awareness is what you fundamentally are. Everything else, thoughts, body, personality, life story, those are things appearing to you, not things that are you. The reason no one can tell you this truth is because the you that needs convincing is the illusion. It's like trying to convince a movie character that they're not real, that they're actually the screen and the light and the projector all together. The character can't comprehend this because the character only exists as a pattern of light. Your sense of being a separate self is exactly like that. It's a convincing illusion, a very persistent pattern. But it's not what you are. What you are is the unchanging awareness in which this pattern appears. And here's the kicker. This awareness isn't personal. It's not yours. It's the same awareness looking out of every pair of eyes. The consciousness reading these words right now is the same consciousness that's in every living being. We're all the ocean pretending to be separate waves. This is the truth no one can tell you, because the moment it's spoken, it becomes just another idea, just another concept for the mind to grasp at. But what you are can't be grasped because you're the grasper, not the grasped. The present moment I saw there, Now let's talk about time, because your entire life is structured around something that doesn't actually exist. You live most of your life in psychological time, thinking about the past or worrying about the future. You carry around a story of who you were, what happened to you, what you regret, what you're proud of. And you project forward, planning, hoping, fearing what might come. But here's the truth. The past is a memory occurring now. The future is a thought occurring now. Time, as you experience it, only exists in your mind. Reality is always and only now. But wait, you might say, of course the past happened. I have memories, I have photos. History is real. Yes, history is real, but where is it? It's a memory occurring in the present moment. The photos exist now. The memories exist now. Everything exists now. The past isn't somewhere else on a timeline. It's a thought pattern in present consciousness. Same with the future. Your entire anxiety about tomorrow is a thought happening right now. The future never arrives. When tomorrow comes, it comes as now. It's always now. Has it ever been any other time than now? This seems obvious when you point it out, but almost nobody lives this way. We're constantly leaving the present moment psychologically, escaping into memory or imagination, and then we wonder why we feel disconnected, anxious, unfulfilled. The present moment is not just the only time that exists, it's the only time that can exist. And here's what makes this truth so radical. In the present moment, without your mental commentary, without your story about what's happening, there are no problems. Think about it. Right now, in this immediate moment, if you're not adding mental narrative, is there actually a problem? Not the problem you were thinking about a minute ago. Not the problem you might face tomorrow, but right here, right now, stripped of mental storytelling. Is there a problem? Usually not. The present moment in and of itself is neutral. It just problems exist in time. They're either regrets about the past or worries about the future. But the now contains none of that. This doesn't mean challenges don't exist. If you're sitting in a burning building, yes, there's a challenge. But even then, the solution exists only in the present moment. You can't put out a fire in the past or the future. You can only take action now. What we call suffering is almost always the gap between what is and what we think should be. And that gap only exists when we're living in psychological time. This shouldn't have happened as a statement about the past. I can't handle it if this continues as a statement about the future. But the actual present moment, the what-isness of now, requires no acceptance or rejection. It already is. The mind hates this. The mind's entire job is to create problems and solve them. It's a meaning-making machine. So it constantly pulls you out of the present moment, because in the present moment, the mind has nothing to do. There's no analysis needed, no planning, no judging, just being. This is why the present moment feels threatening to the ego. The ego, the sense of being a separate self with a past and future, only exists in time. Bring the ego into the present moment and it dissolves. It's like a vampire in sunlight. Living in the now doesn't mean you can't plan for the future or learn from the past. But you do those things from the present moment. You plan now. You remember now. You don't psychologically leave the present. Here's a practice. Notice the actual sensory experience of this moment. The weight of your body, the sensation of breathing, the sounds around you. This immediate sensory reality has no problems in it. Problems only appear when you add the layer of thinking about sensory reality. The truth is this: the now is all you have. It's all you've ever had. It's all you'll ever have. And the now is inseparable from what you are. You are not in the present moment. You are the present moment becoming aware of itself. Resistance, the root of suffering. Here's a pattern you've probably noticed in your life. The things you resist persist. The more you fight against something, an emotion, a situation, a person, the stronger it seems to become. Why? Because resistance is a form of attention, and attention is energy. When you resist something, you're actually feeding it with your attention. You're in relationship with it, even if it's an antagonistic relationship. And that relationship keeps it alive. Most people spend their entire lives in a state of subtle or not so subtle resistance. Resistance to what is. We don't like how we feel, so we resist the feeling. We don't like our circumstances, so we resist reality. We don't like who we are, so we resist ourselves. And this resistance is the primary source of suffering. Pain is inevitable. If you stub your toe, it hurts. That's pain. But suffering is what happens when you resist that pain. You add a layer of this shouldn't be happening, or why does this always happen to me, or I can't stand this. The physical pain might last 10 seconds. The suffering can last hours. The same is true for emotional pain. Sadness isn't suffering. Sadness is just an emotion moving through. But when you resist sadness, when you judge it as wrong or weak or try to push it away, now you have suffering. You have sadness plus resistance to sadness. You've doubled your pain. Here's the paradox. What you resist, you strengthen. What you accept, you transform. When you stop resisting an emotion and simply allow it to be there, something remarkable happens. The emotion doesn't destroy you. It moves through. Emotions are called feelings because they want to be felt. When you feel them fully, without resistance, they complete their cycle and dissolve. But we've been trained to avoid discomfort at all costs. We've been sold the idea that life should be comfortable, that negative emotions are problems to be fixed, that discomfort is a sign something's wrong. So we resist, we distract, we numb, we escape. And in doing so, we create the very suffering we're trying to avoid. This applies to everything in life. When you resist your job, you make work miserable. When you resist a difficult person, you give them power over your peace. When you resist aging, you waste the years you have resisting what can't be changed. Acceptance doesn't mean you like what's happening. It doesn't mean you become passive or stop trying to improve things. It means you stop arguing with reality. You stop insisting that what is should be different than it is. This moment is as it is, not because it should be this way, not because it's right or fair or good, simply because it is. That's an undeniable fact. And when you accept the isness of what is, all that energy you were using to resist becomes available for something else, for creative action, for peace, for presence. Think about it this way. If you're in a river fighting against the current, you exhaust yourself and get nowhere. If you accept the current and swim with it or angle yourself intelligently, you move effortlessly. The current doesn't change. Your relationship to it changes. And that changes everything. The deepest form of acceptance is accepting yourself. Most people are at war with themselves. They don't like how they look, how they think, how they feel, who they are. This internal civil war is the source of most psychological suffering. But here's the truth. You are what you are in this moment. Fighting against that doesn't change it. It just adds suffering to the mix. When you stop resisting yourself, when you accept yourself exactly as you are right now, transformation becomes possible. Not because you're trying to transform, but because acceptance creates space for natural change. This is the difference between forcing change and allowing change. Forcing comes from resistance. I shouldn't be this way. Allowing comes from acceptance. I am this way right now, and that's okay. One creates suffering, the other creates space for growth. The ultimate acceptance is accepting that you can't control most of what happens. Life does what it does. People do what they do. Your body does what it does. The only thing you can influence is your relationship to what's happening. And that relationship is either one of resistance or acceptance. Choose acceptance, and you'll find that most of what you thought were problems weren't actually problems. They were just reality being reality. And reality doesn't need your approval to exist. You're already whole. The entire self-improvement industry is built on a lie. And the lie is this: you're broken and need fixing. You're incomplete and need to become complete. You're lacking and need to fill the void. But what if you're not broken? What if there's nothing wrong with you? What if you're already whole, and the feeling of incompleteness is itself the problem? Think about your life. How much energy have you spent trying to improve yourself, fix yourself, become someone better? How many books, courses, therapies, techniques, practices have you tried? And here's the real question. Has any of it made you feel permanently complete? Probably not. Because the entire self-improvement paradigm is backwards. It starts from the assumption that you're not okay as you are. And operating from that assumption, everything you do reinforces the belief that you're incomplete. You work on yourself because you believe you're broken. And the act of working on yourself constantly reminds you that you believe you're broken. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Here's the truth. Nobody in the self-improvement world wants you to know you're already it. You're already what you've been seeking. The feeling of incompleteness isn't because you're missing something, it's because you've forgotten what you are. Remember what we said at the beginning: you're not the wave, you're the ocean. The wave might feel incomplete, temporary, vulnerable, but the ocean is whole. It's never been incomplete. It can't be incomplete. And you're the ocean pretending to be a wave. This doesn't mean you shouldn't grow, learn, or develop skills, but there's a huge difference between growing from wholeness and trying to fix brokenness. One is an expression, the other is a compensation. When a tree grows, it doesn't grow because it thinks it's not enough as a seed. It grows because growth is what trees do. It's expression, not compensation. That's how human development should work too. Not I'm not enough and need to become more, but I'm already complete, and this is what naturally unfolds. The seeking itself is the problem. You're seeking something you already have. It's like looking for your glasses while wearing them. The more intensely you seek, the more you reinforce the belief that what you're seeking is absent. This is why spiritual seeking often becomes its own trap. People spend decades meditating, reading, attending retreats, looking for enlightenment. But enlightenment isn't something you achieve. It's the recognition of what's already true. And seeking it pushes it away because seeking implies it's not here now. You are already the awareness you're seeking. You are already the peace you're looking for. You are already the wholeness you crave. The only thing between you and the recognition of this is the belief that it's not true. Let that sink in. The only thing in the way is the belief that something is in the way. This is why no method, technique, or practice can get you there, because there is here, and you are already it. The one who wants to get somewhere is the illusion. What you truly are has never moved, never changed, never been incomplete. Does this mean you stop doing things? No. But your motivation changes entirely. You're no longer doing things to become whole. You're doing things as an expression of the wholeness you already are. The artist doesn't paint to become an artist. They paint because they are an artist. The loving person doesn't practice love to become loving. They're already loving, and their actions flow from that. This shift from seeking to being is the difference between effort and effortlessness. Effort comes from I'm not enough. Effortlessness comes from I'm already it. Both might look similar from the outside, but the internal experience is radically different. When you recognize you're already whole, something profound happens. You stop postponing peace. You stop thinking I'll be happy when, because you realize happiness isn't achieved, it's revealed. It's what's here when you stop looking elsewhere for it. The void you've been trying to fill doesn't exist. The incompleteness you've been trying to resolve was never real. It was a case of mistaken identity. You thought you were the limited self, the person, the wave. And from that perspective, of course you felt incomplete. But you're not that. You never were. Life lives itself. here's the final truth. One that might blow your mind completely. You're not doing your life. Your life is happening. And the you that thinks it's in control is part of what's happening. Right now, are you beating your heart? Are you digesting your food? Are you growing your hair? Are you managing the billions of cellular processes happening in your body every second? No, it's all happening by itself. Your body is living you. You're not living your body. Now extend that to everything. Did you choose to be born? Did you choose your parents, your genetics, your culture, your native language? Did you choose your personality, your talents, your preferences? Not really. All of that was given. It arose. It happened. Even your thoughts, are you choosing them? Try not to think for the next 10 seconds. How'd that go? Thoughts appear. You don't create them. They arise in consciousness, and then there's a thought, I thought that, but even that thought arose by itself. So where is this autonomous self that's supposedly in control? Where is the free will everyone talks about? Here's the radical truth. You're not a separate agent acting upon reality. You're an expression of reality acting through this particular form. You're not in the universe. You are the universe experiencing itself as a human being. This doesn't mean you're a puppet or a robot. It means the doer is an illusion. There's doing, but no separate doer. Things happen, but there's no separate you making them happen. It's all one unified process, life living itself. Your mind screams at this. But I make choices. I decide things. I have free will. Okay, let's test it. Try to choose what your next thought will be. Don't react to a thought that appears. Actually choose before the thought arises what that thought will be. You can't. Thoughts appear, and then there's the feeling that I thought that, but the thought came first. The sense of being the thinker comes after. It's all backwards. This isn't fatalism. It's not saying you should be passive or that nothing matters. It's saying that what you think is you isn't actually doing anything. The doing happens through you, not by you. When you see this, responsibility doesn't disappear. It just shifts. You're no longer responsible for what's happening. You're responsible to what's happening. You're the capacity to respond, not the controller of outcomes. This removes an enormous burden. You're no longer carrying the weight of making everything happen. You're no longer the author of your story. You're the story. You're no longer the actor playing the role. You're the role being played. And paradoxically, when you stop trying to control life, life flows more smoothly. Because you're no longer introducing friction. You're no longer at war with what is. You're flowing with the current instead of fighting it. Actions still happen. Decisions still get made, but they arise naturally, spontaneously, intelligently, without the extra burden of a separate self trying to force things to go a certain way. This is what it means to live in harmony with reality, not imposing your will upon life, but allowing life to live itself through you, not fighting the current, but becoming the current. The Taoists called this Wu Wei. Action without action, doing without forcing, effortless effort. It's not laziness, it's aligned action. It's life doing what life does without resistance from the illusion of separation. When you see that life is living itself, a great peace descends, because you realize you were never in charge anyway. You were never responsible for making it all work out. It's all happening. You're part of what's happening, and that's enough. The person you thought you were, the one trying to control everything, fix everything, achieve everything, that was exhausting. It was an impossible job, and it was never real anyway. What you truly are is so much larger, so much more at ease, so much more trusting of the process. Life knows what it's doing. It's been doing it for billions of years. Trees don't try to grow, they grow. Rivers don't try to flow, they flow. Stars don't try to shine, they shine. And you don't have to try to live. Life lives you. Trust it. So there it is. The truth no one else can tell you. You are not who you think you are. The present moment is all there is. Resistance creates suffering. You're already whole, and life is living itself. These aren't beliefs to adopt, they're recognitions to have. And when you see them, really see them, everything changes. Nothing changes. You were always this. Welcome to what you've always been.